All right, today we're cracking open a really fascinating book called Sealed by the King. And listen, it puts forward a pretty extraordinary argument. It claims that the King James Bible isn't just some historic translation. Nope, it's a divinely perfected text, and the proof? Well, that's supposedly hidden in a numerical code.
Now, before you can even begin to wrap your head around a claim that big, you really have to understand where the author is coming from. I mean, his own personal story, it's the foundation for this whole thing.
You see, the story kicks off with a pretty shocking admission. The author, a guy named Brandon Peterson, well, he wasn't always a fan of the King James Version. Not at all. In fact, it was the complete opposite.
He talks about doing a complete 180-degree turn in his life. I mean, he went from calling himself biblically illiterate and thinking that reading the Bible was a total chore to becoming this diligent seeker of the Lord. All of a sudden, his bookshelves are just packed with King James Bibles, and the very thing he used to avoid, it became something he actually found joy in. A huge change.
So this profound experience wasn't just about his faith. It actually sparked this deep intellectual quest. He had to figure out what was so special about the book that it completely changed his life.
And that personal journey led him to ask a huge question. It's a question that's really at the core of this whole book, and honestly, it's something a lot of believers have probably thought about.
Right there in the introduction, he just lays it out. How can we know the Bible is perfect? I mean, really know for sure. How can we, as just, regular people, be absolutely certain that the book we're holding is perfect?
And his first answer is, well, it's probably not what you'd expect. He doesn't just jump in and say, here's why. Instead, he says, we can't. His point is, from our human perspective, it's an impossible job. To perfectly judge something that's perfect, you'd have to be perfect yourself. You need to be omniscient, all-knowing.
Then he draws this really interesting parallel. Think about it. How could a person prove Jesus was sinless? You'd have to know every single thought, every intention behind every action he ever took, right? That's something only God could know. And in the same way, he argues, proving a Bible translation is perfect it's beyond what humans can do.
Okay, but here's the big twist. The whole pivot of the argument. He says, while we can't prove it, God can. And God can do it using his own methods. And that right there sets the stage for the entire book. The idea is that if any proof of perfection exists, it has to come from God, not from us.
So, what is this divine proof he's talking about? Well, according to the book, God left a key, a kind of divine fingerprint, if you will, hidden right there in the text itself.
The whole argument is built on this simple three-step logic laid out in the foreword. It goes like this. Step 1, God is infinite, constant, never changes. Step 2, numbers are also infinite, constant, they never change. So step 3, the conclusion is, numbers are kind of a type of God. They share this divine quality, which makes them the perfect unchanging tool for an unchanging God to use. See the logic there?
And that leads us right to the book's main idea, what he calls the divine seal. The concept is that numbers act like God's own personal fingerprint, a seal of authenticity that's stamped right onto the words of the King James Bible, proving that it's the one true, perfect version.
Okay, so what does this divine fingerprint actually look like in practice? This is where we move from the big ideas in the philosophy to some very specific, testable claims about the text.
The author really zeroes in on one number above all others, the number 7. Biblically, that's the number of perfection, of completion. And the book argues that these incredible, recurring patterns involving the number 7 and its multiples, like the 777 you see here, are the main supernatural proof of the KJV's divine origins.
Now here's a really crucial point. The book doesn't call these things interesting coincidences or some kind of statistical fluke. No, they're presented as modern-day miracles. The idea is that they're just as real and just as significant as any of the miracles you read about in the Bible.
And the book is absolutely packed with these alleged patterns. I mean, dozens of them. Here are just a few examples to give you an idea. So how does this actually work? Well, let's take Amen 77. The claim here is that the word Amen appears exactly 77 times in the King James Bible. That's 7 times 11. See the pattern? Or look at Jesus Christ 777 plus 777. This one uses something called gematria, where letters get assigned a number value. The book argues that the numerical value for Jesus is 777 and for Christ is also 777, and that this perfection is preserved in the KJV. The whole point is to just build this massive, overwhelming case with example after example.
So, after laying out all of these supposed miracles in the text, where does that leave us? Well, it all builds up to a pretty powerful conclusion and a very direct challenge to you, the reader.
To really drive the point home, the author quotes Jesus from the King James Bible itself, and the logic is pretty straightforward. Just like Jesus said his miracles, his works, were the proof that God sent him, the book argues that these numerical patterns are the works of the Bible. They're the proof of its divine perfection.
And that really brings us to the book's ultimate claim, the big takeaway. It's that the King James Version isn't just another translation, not even just a really good one. It's a uniquely, supernaturally guided and preserved text, proven to be perfect by this incredible hidden code of numbers.
So we're going to end this explainer right where the author leaves his readers, with a direct challenge. He kind of shifts the whole thing away from dusty books and scholarly debates, and puts it right in the realm of personal faith. He basically urges the reader to just ask God with a humble heart, "Did you do this?" And that's a pretty provocative final thought, one that really leaves the ultimate conclusion up to you.